Is it recording? Oh yeah, it is. I'm just a bit of an idiot. Great. That's always nice to know. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. The last video I did was more about like an introduction to kind of who I was. This video is going to be more about kind of where I am now in the current program. We're going to make this more of a progress report rather than kind of dribbling on about who I was. No one really cares about that. Let's get straight to it. These last 3 weeks have been quite tough, really, because everything's kind of progressed quite a bit in the gym. I felt like I've got stronger, but at the same time, I've kind of been doubting myself a lot. Now, I know that's going to happen as we go along. It's not easy. You kind of feel a little bit low at times. It's the self-motivation that kind of kicks in. You really need that. I've been feeling like I haven't had correct form the whole time. And kind of watching back at the videos, which we'll check out in a second, I've kind of noticed that a little bit, so there's things to work on. I'm feeling good generally though, in myself, in like my strength and my appearance. I'm still dealing with gaining more fat and gaining more weight as we go along. I think that's something that I'm always going to have to try and adapt to and try to understand. I'm not used to it. I'm understanding you have to sacrifice lean, toned body for a bit of extra fat if you want to build in size, because you have to put those surplus calories and something's going to go somewhere. You can't get your calories to the exact point every time that works with your body. Your body does things differently. So generally it's working well. Let's get straight to it. Let's go to the videos. I'm going to talk over them this time and kind of try and analyze them with you and see what I was doing wrong and try and see where I can learn from them as well. So yeah, play the bloody montage. Okay, so straight up with my military barbell press, I found doing it seated on the rack that I have at my gym, I was really restricted because the hooks that the barbell sits on were so far forward and I just basically couldn't get my body in the right position at all. It was so uncomfortable. I was putting so much strain on my shoulders and on my wrists that I thought, right, I'm going to change this up. I'm going to move to the Smith machine, and I kind of had to reduce in weight a little bit there. It felt like I was doing a much more comfortable movement. I felt like I was less at risk to an injury, which is good. It's good to always change things up. If you feel like you're going to injure yourself and it doesn't feel right, don't just carry on doing it because that's what it says I should be doing on my plan. No, there's always other options out there for different exercises to work the same muscle groups that are a bit more forgiving for maybe you. Everyone's different again. So yeah, the form was okay. Obviously with a Smith machine, it's quite easy to stay with correct form the whole time because the bar is assisted and moving in one straight line, so you're not kind of wobbling around the whole time and moving. So the weight was only 22.5 by 5. Realistically, I probably could have pushed it to 25, but it was the first time doing that on this last week, so I didn't want to push it too much. With my military barbell press, we've also said that moving forward, we're only going to do these standing from now on. I'm more comfortable when I do them standing. I've never done them seated before, so it was good to try it and good to know what you can and cannot do and what you react better with and don't. And I definitely work better with a standing military barbell press because I kind of got more push through my body, I've got more push through my legs, I keep them closer together. Moving forward, no more seated, only standing barbell press. So up next, we've got the barbell row. I'm quite comfortable with this exercise, I feel. Positioning is all good. Hand movement's good. I'm probably going a little bit too heavy. There's a little bit of bounce in me. It's not too bad. You can see when I get to the last few reps here that I'm actually struggling a bit more. It pulls down, I kind of bounce my way back up and I end up standing up quite a bit. I really want to avoid that. Again, maybe I'll drop the weight a little bit. There's a big common theme going through this whole video is that I generally am probably chasing the weight a bit too much. I probably could do losing a few kilos on the weights and going for better form. My bench press. Now, bench press. Bench press I feel is my weakest point. I don't know why. My form is all over the place really when you watch it. My elbows need to be further in but they're sprayed out. I've got my thumbs pushing on the bar. I'm not good at bench press. I feel like I'm using my arms way too much on the push. I don't know, I'm going to keep working on it. Hopefully it will improve. So this is 52.5 by 5. I've kind of only gone up by 2 reps. As the beginning it was 52.5 by 3. I really struggled with these the whole time. As you can see, my elbows are way too parallel with the side of my body. They need to be in a bit more. I'm kind of use those triceps a bit more in the movement and use the chest more. As a moment, I feel like I'm using my forearms the whole time and I'm putting a lot of strain through my wrists. And I end up getting a big pain through my wrists and it shoots down to my elbow. So I really need to perfect this technique. I know that going forward. Back squats. Now, I really enjoy back squats. Though again, there's definitely room for improvement in these. So here you go, I could definitely get a better range of motion in there. I know that I could probably bring my arse closer to the floor. Because I'm so tall, you go by the rule of shoulder width apart with your feet. I need to go a little bit further. I know that to get my arse all the way down and get that better range of motion in there, because if I'm so close together, I don't really have any support coming up, you're quite narrow. So I need to now go slightly wider than shoulder width apart. So yeah, you can see right there that my butt needs to get further down, kind of be so that the top of my hips end up being in line with the safety bars. Weight of my back squats was 92.5, which is massive improvement. That's nearly 10 kilos almost. So I'm happy with that. Actually, I lied. I think deadlifts are my favorite exercise over squats. I just love a deadlift. I don't know why. I feel like using every part of your body in that. You're using so much power and force to lift that bar, and you get such a good pump after it. You feel energized just from doing the deadlift. I'm doing a sumo deadlift, which for anyone who doesn't know is basically where your feet are wider apart and you kind of point your toes out, so you kind of stance like a sumo wrestler. I want to put my feet wider apart, but I'm also freaking out that I'm going to drop the weights on my toes. Now, dropping 97.5 kilos on my feet is not going to end well. Watching this over, I could definitely stand a bit further apart and not be so worried. I should also mention, I don't wear shoes when I'm doing my compound lifts like this. My trainers I have are good all-round trainers, but they kind of wobble around because they've got quite thick heels on them. So I just take my shoes off and then I've got a flat foot the whole time. Watching this now, I could definitely bring my arse closer to the ground again and kind of get more into that squat position and push up through my legs more. Because at the moment, my back's a little bit over and I feel like I'm gonna do a bit of damage to my back if I go any heavier here. So I'm gonna start watching that. Again, probably just need to lower the weight a little bit. But yeah, the form coming up is quite good. And then as I come down, I seem to keep my back straighter and more of a better arch in there. But yeah, so going up there, you can see it kind of arches over a bit and it's got a bit more of a curve to it. So I really need to watch out for that. Okay, front squats. Here's the video that we've all been waiting for. He's getting ready. Pull up those shorts. Good man, come on. Here we go. Watch me getting pumped. Bounce up, yeah, push those shoulders across, David. You got it. And here he goes, up to the bar. And for the greatest, Rookie 101, my phone ran out of storage and I didn't record my front squats. But you'll be happy to know that they've been terrible. Yeah, generally they've been terrible the whole time. I've been feeling with my front squats that with the traditional position of having your arms and your wrists sort of here in front, it kills my wrists. I've got such long arms to bring my shoulders up. It just hurts, it's not comfortable. So I switched my stance around the last few weeks. I ended up going for sort of a crossover shoulder grip like this, which is way, way better, way more forgiving for me. I'm gonna keep progressing with that sort of tombstone fix, as I wanna call it. I don't like them, but I'm gonna keep them in my program because they must be good for you. So that's all my compound lifts that I did. Let's go through some other little bits. Now, my pull-ups. I said last time that I was happy with these. Started to watch other people do pull-ups in the gym and I realized that they were getting a much lower range of motion. They were using their scapula more and going right down and pulling themselves back up. And that's what I've kind of done. As you can see here, I'm trying to go down further and kind of get my arms more straighter and get that sort of initial reaction of in my shoulder blades and my scapula, pull myself up and down a lot more. And it made it a lot harder. Okay, so the goblet squat. I hate the goblet squat. I really do. It's a horrible exercise, but it's damn good for you. It really gets those endorphins going and gives you some energy afterwards, but it kills. At the beginning with my goblet squats, I was doing 35 kilos with one dumbbell by 8 reps. I kind of had to change it up because I couldn't physically lift a 40 kilo dumbbell because I did 37.5 and holding that the whole time and getting it up was probably more risk of an injury doing that than actually doing the exercise. I ended up swapping around. I went to a lower weight. I went down to 25 kilos, but I was doing paused goblet squats. So I'd squat down and hold my body there a little bit longer. Squat down, hold it there, pop my way back up. Try and keep my back straight the whole time, pushing through my heels. It's definitely something I'll keep in my exercise, but who knows, it is a damn hard thing. Upright rows. This is interesting. I filmed myself. I showed these to my trainer and he instantly said, David, stop doing upright rows. Not that I'm doing it with bad form, he said, just he can see that it's not doing anything for me and it's the shape of my body, the height, the length of my arms and the way I've got to pull them up. He said, you're just putting yourself at high risk of shoulder impingement. And he said that there's so many other exercises out there that you can do that are gonna work the same front muscles and the same front of your shoulders here. I don't know what they're called, as you can tell. They're just not comfortable. I couldn't really find the correct position. The first week you can see I had my hands quite wide. Then I kind of pulled them in close with my thumbs as a distance. Kind of felt like I was hurting my arms here in the top of my shoulders and then in the front of my shoulders a little bit. I'm happy to not do those anymore. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm enjoying it. It was a hard program, but it was also a rewarding program. I felt like I was making a lot of progress. It's funny to see that I didn't once have an isolation exercise for my arms, and I felt like I worked them more through this program than I did if I ever put some accessory works for them in my program. So that's a real good mental thing for me to understand that you don't have to do, you know, bicep curls or tricep pull downs or anything to work them. You're working them the whole time throughout. So I want to talk about my calorie intake and how I'm finding it. Thankfully, my weight has now started to move up the scale, which is good. I'm only aiming for ½ a pound a week, which is about 1/4 kilo a week. It stayed level for so long that I was starting to get a bit anxious about it and a bit nervy, but it's finally moving, and that's a really good thing. My calories are still at 3,500. I've kind of got over that mental block and I'm smashing that every day, which is a good thing. Sometimes a bit too much. I can't help myself. So in my first video, I never really showed a comparison between where I was before in my body shape to where I am now, or my measurements. So I'm going to do that now. So these photos are from back in November 2019. You can see I'm quite a skinny guy. There's a skinny frame there. There's not really much to me. I don't really have much shoulder definition or anything in my body. There's a little bit of body fat there, but that's kind of all. There's no muscle definition, nothing at all. Whereas this is where I am now. It's a much bigger improvement. I've filled out a little bit. There's definitely much more muscle definition in there. There's definitely a lot more in my shoulders. My arms have also grown a bit. They're still small in comparison to most people's arms, but for me it's such a huge improvement that I feel so much more confident because of it now. I'm generally happy with where I've come in the last year. I feel like I've made progression and I'm now starting to make more progression again, which is what it's all about. So I'll quickly talk about my measurements as well. So these are my measurements from last year, from those first pictures I showed you. And these are my measurements now. They haven't moved hugely, don't get me wrong, but 1 centimetre across a whole body and a whole arm is actually quite a bit. You know, it could be better. It could always be better, but that's life. Things could always be better. It's still a massive improvement from where I was. So moving on to my next block of workouts, I was discussing with my trainer the other day. He feels I'm at a spot where I can now move to 5 days a week, and we're going to do like a 5-day split. The bro split, man! No, we're not doing that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm also quite nervous because it's a lot more time in the gym. I imagine he's going to try and break me. I imagine it's going to be harder. God help me. So yeah guys, that comes to the end of this video. I'm happy overall with my progress in this last month. I need to keep aiming for my goals, but the funny thing is that your goals always keep moving. My goal this time last year when I first started was to just hit 70 kilos. Now my goal is to hit 80 kilos and to get bigger and better and faster and stronger. We always want more, you know. You get to what you think you want and you get there and think, oh, I kind of want that thing over there, or I want what that guy's got. I'm gonna have more determination. I'm gonna push myself to the limit, and it's going to be hard and it's going to be fun, and I hope you guys are going to stick around for the ride. Thank you so much guys. That brings us to the end of the video. I hope you're enjoying this information. If you are, subscribe, hit a like, hit a comment, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. I just hope you're getting something from this. And remember guys, it's all you, bro. Oh, I'm so stupid.